Hello, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I'm here to give you this week's energy forecast. Okay, so we start this week today by landing on a very sacred, symbolic number. We are on the 5th of the 5th, 2025, and that represents all the fives for us. Numerology is super important, the symbology of numerology. And it made me think today, what does that mean? Well, when we add up 5 and 2025, we get the number one. It boils down to the number one. And number one is the initiator, new beginnings, self-leadership. And so it really is very synchronistic with this week's energy forecast as we move through kinds of lots of astrological points and energetic points that recognize that old things must die, new things need to be rebirthed. I think it's a huge, huge theme for 2025 anyway, as with regards to old structures dying, new ones being built. And I'm sure a lot of you are already feeling a lot of the old structures within your own personal life having been disintegrated or they're being thrashed about now somewhat. So it's very significant. I think the number five is also important to sit with today because number five is a very sacred number with regards to freedom, change, rebellion against any limitations that you're carrying, and also initiates adventure and spiritual expansion. For me, the number five is all about the Venus cycle too. It's the five-petaled rose. The five-pointed star is about the feminine, and I was born on the 15th of the 5th. So the number five is pretty significant for me too. But it also holds the pentagram, which is the elements of the earth, body, air, water, and also of the human body. So it's a pretty symbolic number and really feeling that, as we think about 2025, it's all about this kind of similar energy of leadership, of changing. And that is about bringing in a higher version of ourselves in this world to be in evolution. And that might seem natural that we evolve, we do, but at what rate and how conscious is that evolution that we're currently going through? Are we making it conscious? So I think the numerology for today and this month is pretty symbolic as we move through what seems to be a time that is really trying to uproot some of the older systems within us and around us. And of course, what is in is without. So, what we see in our world manifesting in politics, structures, ideologies is in fact a reflection of what is happening within inside of us, as you always hear me harping on about. But what's going on in the astro cycle kind of world that I'm more interested in? Well, we are seeing that we are going through some kind of darker periods. And I don't mean dark in a negative way. Dark doesn't mean negative to me. Dark means that it's where we're in a shadow and that it's allowing us to illuminate certain things. So the spiritual work has really allowed me to see the dark as a different space and not necessarily one to dread, but the prerequisite of transformation. And we are currently going through some significant astrological events. I mean, Chiron and Eris are coming into conjunction over 3 times over the year, and it started in May. And it's like those two energies, like archetypally, which is what I work with, is about, Chiron as the wounded healer, the one that is a great healer because he was wounded, he understood his wounds. It's what made him able to support others. And I think we need to be really reflective of that in society at the moment. They're the great teachers in our society, the ones who recognize the wounds, the ones that have understood their shadows. They're teaching from a much more embodied place rather from a place of knowledge, which can be very shallow knowledge. Knowledge isn't integrated, knowledge isn't embodied, knowledge isn't a process that you've had to go through and been initiated into. So this energy of the wounded healer, and Eris, which is all about being marginalized and excluded as an archetype. They're kind of very shadow archetypes. They're deeply symbolic of the pain that we hold as individuals and as people. And I think those two energies are worth kind of feeling into, how has my wounding allowed me to be of use in society? How does that allow me to help and support community and other people? And then where do I feel like I've been excluded and marginalized? And this is definitely playing home for me as somebody that's worked in healing and spirituality for a very long time now, and not always been brave enough to strongly declare it in the earlier, more formative years of my practices into yoga and spirituality. I very much silenced myself because I felt like the odd one or the one that had a completely different vision to everybody else in the collective, and especially with those around me. And actually, the more that I became able to voice what I felt and the experiences that I was having and take deeper experiences and initiations, the more that the circle and cycle of people that would ridicule, marginalize, exclude me because of my beliefs disappeared. And I became feeling very wholesome in communities that were supportive of that, and indeed creating my very own community where spirituality, consciousness, seeking connection, breath, body was very much the norm. And so that really highlights itself in this conjunction between these two archetypes. So I want us within the spiritual community, and, especially if you hold just different beliefs, to really feel this energy in you and where it is still being repressed inside of you. This is also going to highlight the complexity of trauma. So I think this is a very complex trauma in all of us to not be ourselves, to not individuate into who we truly are. That is the evolutionary path. And we are constantly trying to hold our back, dim our light, like lessen ourselves to fit in. And in fact, all the time, we're not fitting in while we're doing that. So it's worth reflecting on and to face uncomfortable truths about yourself where you do that, where you are living in your old wounds, in the shadow, the fear of being seen, but the want to be seen. We all want to be seen. We all long to be witnessed and to be held in the very truth of the bones of who we are, yet we have to face so many pains to be able to really bloom into our own true self. And that is the spiritual journey. It's to become who we truly are underneath all the layers that have been formed to protect us, or because we've been hurt or traumatized and life's thrown certain things at us. So really, really feel your own placement in that. What has that experience been like for you? What is the complexity of your trauma? What are the uncomfortable truths that you need to face about yourself? If there's anger, because this kind of conjunction might bring up a lot of repressed anger, let the anger come, let it move through your body. Don't become it, but allow it, feel it, process it, release it. I like to ground it down in the body. I like to move with it, feel it in the body, and welcome it as a energy, because anger is a very transformative energy. It's a very destructive energy. So it destroys the old, brings in the new. So this fiery kind of energy is simmering down, can simmer down towards the more grounded energy of Taurus. So that's really in line with Mercury transiting from Aries to Taurus on May the 10th. When it goes from that fiery energy, if you can like really bring that anger up into a more grounded Korean style energy where our communication is practical and deliberate. It's about making decisions. We're encouraged to slow down, reflect, articulate thoughts with clarity and feelings with clarity. So That happens around May the 10th. So we've still got some time to really bring up the fire, bring up the feelings that we're going through. And more importantly and significantly, the Pluto is in retrograde from yesterday, from the 4th, and that continues until October. And Pluto's retrograde motion in Aquarius really is a deep 6-month period of inner transformation. The transit really encourages us to examine these old patterns, power structures that being too little or being too much, or the dynamics where we're trying to power, because obviously power is the opposite of love. Where there is a will to power, there is no love. So letting go of certain power structures or struggles that are not allowing love in your life, and really reflecting on that within society as well, and how societal norms that need to go. Think about the word societal norm. We just get used to certain things, we make them normal when they're not. And certain societal norms need to be outgrown now. And it's really deep dive to delve into the unconscious, to confront hidden fears, embrace where society has held you in a norm or restricted you, and embrace personal evolution. This is so timely for me as well, because I'm working with the women in my womb alchemy group. They're deep in a process of the shadow alchemy. They're currently in Persephone, and they're working with the archetype of Persephone and the maiden within themselves that's held and trapped in the underworld, and trying to bring that transformation up to the surface when we come out of the darker transit. But the darker transit is essential. It's truly, truly essential. And it allows us to, like I said, illuminate things that are actually holding you back. And it's really sad that people don't want to illuminate the darker shadows because they're scared of them, but they're the very things that liberate them. So what we're going to be seeing in this week is that there's a movement. If we look at all this, if we move the anger, if we take a deeper reflection of where we're being held by societal norms or the norms of those around us, not being true to ourselves and liberating our true self, our true behaviors, our true expression, then we come into a space where we are stuck in the shadow anyway. And this reflection and all this work allows us then to make better choices. This is the key of freedom out of the underworld with Persephone. It's about knowing that you're not powerlessness. You're not powerless, and powerlessness is a choice, because it's a lack of choice. When we feel powerless, we're choosing to stay in the shadow of that rather than to work to find what is it that makes me feel like this, and how can I move it, and what choices do I make to get me out of powerlessness, to get me out of this power struggle and into love and into a more loving life for myself. Any unmotivated or unmotivation within you needs to be conquered right now. There is a lethargy that seems to have a hold on us, and that's because we're in this sleepier shadow space. But can you wake up from the lethargy? Can you get more motivated and start to make changes in your life? There's been such a space of reflection, and the shadow space is a reflective space. It is all about that. But now, as we come further in, we begin to understand that we are literally having to start to make the choices we may have been putting off, because this transformative energy from today really wants to bring change for you, freedom and adventure. Break free of the limitations, come out of societal norms, and really go with your intuition, go with the flow, and take some chances that might scare you, that might feel a little bit surreal, that might think, oh my gosh, this is so out of character for me, or that this is a little bit scary, or wow, that's a bit daring. Oh, wow, this breaks the rules of dating. This breaks the rules of job hunting or moving or traveling. You break the rules. because breaking the rules that you've self-imposed is going to bring around the transformation and rebirth. You will meet people, you will stumble upon the right places where it breaks down a norm. So I love that. I'm doing that myself this week. I've got a big um, initiation into something I've never done and something that's not really like me. Quite exciting, also really quite nerve-wracking for me, but absolutely deeply rooted in soul knowledge that it was meant to be and that I invite it in. And yeah, I'm still feeling the courage of that and seeing the norms, my own pressured societal norms on how I should behave, what order things should be done in and how they should be done. And actually it feels completely liberating and wild to go against rules that I have been indoctrinated into and withheld myself. So do something that scares you, do something that is out of the norm, do something that's going to bring in a higher path. And really, truly, that's what it's calling in, this higher path. Uh, the, the the tips for the practical guidance for this week is to embrace change. Utilize the transformative energy by initiating personal growth and releasing your limiting beliefs and the societal norms. Be very thoughtful about how you communicate. Engage in conversations with intention and clarity, especially as Mercury begins to settle into Taurus. Reflect and integrate. Take time for introspection, journaling, meditation to process emotions and really receive those intuitive, instinctual insights. And really see the 555 portal of today as an alignment with your authentic path. And don't be wishy-washy about that. It sounds great, doesn't it? What is your authentic path? Make some choices. Really important to make those choices because otherwise this is just all woo-woo, it's all ungrounded. We're not embodying it in. And that's the key. I think one of the greatest ways for me to make transformations is to make sure that I'm doing the spiritual work. I've got a structure, a practice, a sequence, a group that really helps and supports me be devoted to my inner transformation. And I was feeling this came through for me as I sat in nature the other day that 2025 is a number 9 year. It's a really important year because number 9 is about completion. It's also about spiritual mastery. So if you're not engaged in practices or initiations or teachings, how can you master your spirituality? We have to be humble. We have to be in our humility and understand that we need to be taught that every master has been a student. Every teacher is a student. We are constantly in that push-pull dual dynamic. And this self mastery, this spiritual mastery, if you're doing the work this year, it really will pay off dividends. And the number 9 is also the number of the sage and the crone. And freedom with spiritual wisdom, initiating new paths from a place of maturity and embodied wisdom is exactly why I decided to make the new course after the Grail course has been so successful with some stunning women from all over the world. And I'm now releasing a crone course of the Druidess. So really anchoring in the power of the crone energy. And the crone energy isn't just about age. Let's not get that mixed up. Crone energy is about wisdom and embodiment. Crone energy is all about knowing what lessons you've learned and how you can integrate experience into embodied wisdom that is there to support and be of service. And I wish I'd even had elements of this in my maidenhood. I wish I'd known about the crone and her prowess and what my goal was and what my aim was and how I actually did turn initiations from maiden and motherhood into crone wisdom. So that course is open for everybody, regardless of age. If you're a crone, it's going to be powerful. If you're younger and you're trying to think, I want to be more informed about cronedom and how I start engaging with that so I don't have to leave it all till I'm older, then join me. It's a 7-week course. I'll put the link under this energy forecast and you'd be more than welcome. And that starts on 22nd of May. So you'd all be welcome. So have a beautiful week. It is going to be a powerful one, should you see it as that and work with it as that. And just really settle into these energies of self mastery. I think this is going to take place over the next couple of weeks, just really being in self mastery and self governance. I think that's a great word, in your self governance. I look forward to speaking to you again. I will not be posting one next Monday as it is my birthday week and I'm engaged in a week of fun and doing birthday things. So Monday is going to be a non-recording day for me. I'm taking some time off, which is again rare for me. And you may receive a later edition, or I will see you the following Monday. But love to all you Tauruses who are celebrating their birthdays and really integrating all this energy. And for everyone else, this is yours for the taking. So let's go for it. So take care for now, Collette.